Hello, viewers. Welcome to Jaipur Dialogue USA. And before I begin, I will make my usual request. Please like, subscribe, and support our channel and give your feedback. Today, I wanted to talk to you about the terrorist attack that happened in Russia. More than 150 people are dead, several injured. And again, we see that it has happened in Russia, a country which is not totally democratic. Mr. Putin won the election with a landslide victory. So it is an example of elections, but not totally democratic. And there is no mincing words on that. But the reality is that in a tightly controlled country, community and country, you had a scenario when four people went on a rampage, shooting down people in a concert hall. Now, that is definitely a very barbaric terrorist attack. And ISIS has claimed credit for doing that. People have gone from Turkey, recruited on Telegram or social media tools, given motley sums of money to do what they did, knowing fully well that they will not escape, but they will be killed. They risk their lives to do that. So the motivation of these people is very highly charged. And that's what is important to talk about here. The news is very bad. If it can happen in Russia, it can happen anywhere in the world. India has already experienced that. So has America. Everybody knows that. But still, what is problematic is the fact that we are not confronting the ideology that leads people to do this. This is very important to deal with that. It's like living in America. I know it since 1991 when I came here, that America has waged a war on drugs, wants to have a comprehensive immigration reform, and also war on terrorism. America has not won a single war of this magnitude that impacts societies, people, and countries way beyond expectations. Disasters happen, no doubt, but this is not a disaster. This is a man-made deliberate act to hurt or impose a will of a particular ideology. That's what is important. Instead, what we see is that the democratic nations are bending backwards to accept and eulogize a thought process that is hell-bent on demolishing you. A few days ago, I posted a tweet that children are being taught right from the beginning to cut the head of the kafir. And the children say so because we are doing it because those people, kafirs, must die. It's an ideological battle. So what happened in Russia, political differences apart, Putin has his own political enemies. And given the scenario there, opposition can happen. But what is interesting also to find out that the entire world is affected, impacted by these people who don't give a damn for individual lives. Because people who die are innocent. People who die may not have any role to play in the political ideology of a country. People, ordinary people. Because we also know that Islamic terrorism has killed more Muslims than non-Muslims. So if I talk about it, how am I suffering from Islamophobia? Think about that for a moment. And why must anybody accuse me of talking about a theology, of philosophy that indulges in killing those who do not believe in it? It's a stated philosophy. There's nothing wrong, nothing, no mystery or nothing hidden about it. That's what is important for all of us to put our minds to. What can happen in Russia, what has happened in India and keeps happening, what has happened in America and keeps happening, what has happened in England keeps happening, and the domination and control that is happening through nefarious ways in exploiting the tools and processes of democracy is something that democracy lovers need to stand up for. If you don't, then people will take advantage of you. And that's the important message that the entire world needs to pay attention to. There is no good bad terrorist or a bad terrorist. To equate by certain standards, but to say that your terrorist is my freedom fighter is a wrong analogy. It's a totally wrong analogy. India fought the British rule, the Mughal invasion. All right. So the Indian freedom fighters of Bhagat Singh and others, they were not terrorists. The British called them terrorists because they were against a foreign rule. And I agree with that. So if Islamic countries object to the foreign army being on their land, they have a right to say that. But then the question arises, don't ask for help. That's very important too. So if the Western countries have a responsibility to let them do and solve their own crisis rather than depending upon or calling upon democratic countries to save their countries. This is a very important ideological thing. The impact and implication of this one is that they are now coming. They are now coming to our countries to teach us a lesson. What has happened in Russia can happen in America. And America better be aware of that. Because I have said this many times, and I will say this again, that the millions of people who have walked in America breaking the law, many unwanted getaways, as this word goes, many unwanted getaways have entered this country. FBI itself, FBI chief himself warned America that warned these in a hearing he said that we have fear of that happening, the terrorist attacks happening. Remember what American government always used to say, that we fight the battle there so that they can't fight here. It's coming to America. Just as a hall was hit in Russia, be prepared. Don't be shocked then. Oh my God, how did this happen? Be prepared, Americans. Me, American, you, American, and everybody all over the world. Be prepared for these kind of attacks to happen. Now, what is important about this is soon after 9/11, this is my personal experience. Those who know me know this story. Soon after 9/11, I was told by someone that Mr. Jha, the exact words were, Jha Saab, this is just the beginning. We are going to fight the guerrilla warfare with democracies and the rest of the world, particularly the Western world. And democracy, it was meant India, because we are going to exploit everything that you democracies are very proud of. We will exploit everything to the hilt. Now you see in America what is happening. You have, ideological, political differences or acceptance apart. What you have to recognize is what kind of actions are being done. So, what kind of actions are being done? You have heard and seen the reports that how Palestinian supporting organizations are indulging in public outrage, using the freedom of speech and freedom of action as a tool to stall traffic, create problem on the streets, and that's what they do. Many Islamic countries have not allowed public prayers on Fridays, but they do it in democratic countries because there is a freedom of religion. I'm asking, if it is stopped, then they will accuse you of not allowing them the freedom of religion. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very serious issue. It cannot be brushed under the carpet. It has to be confronted head on, right in the face. Because if you do not tell the truth will suffer the most. The people are out to exploit the democratic process. And those who do not believe in democracy, those who do not believe in the freedom of religion, because their religion is the best religion in the world, they talk about freedom of religion. They talk about phobia. And that's a tragedy. Even United Nations, if any one of you have seen a report that was submitted, a complaint was submitted to the United Nations, in which the United Nations itself has recorded the atrocities, religious atrocities on women, sorry, religious atrocities on women around the world. This report is very explosive, signed by more than 80 people, prominent people. this report needs to be seen, discussed, and talked in the United Nations. If you want to solve a problem, as the saying goes, you have to hit at the root of it. Trimming the leaves of a tree or trimming the branch of a tree doesn't eliminate the problem. The root has to be hit at, and root has to be addressed in a reasonable, democratic debate, dialogue, and discussion. That's the only way one changes. Because what was said 2000 years ago is no longer relevant in this modern era. Hey, let's put it this way: nobody used this 15 years ago, or 500 years ago, or 1,000 years ago. So if we are using this tool, which religious book says to use it? So the question arises is that when are we going to confront the truth? When are we going to confront the evil? Because the societal peace cannot be disturbed by imposition of a will of any particular group of people. So the agents of chaos, as a famous statement is, the unholy alliance of elitists who are using the money, the James Bond megalomaniac billionaires are using the money and using Marxist, socialist, and Islamist as a tool to control the dialogue, discussion, and debate. Think about it from a very serious angle. This is not a light issue. This needs to be talked about again and again. And because we cannot afford lawlessness take over the law abiding citizens. That's what is important. Otherwise, it creates a frustration in the people. Then you demand a strong action. And when the strong action is taken, then you say, oh, our freedoms are hurt. So protect the freedom, you got to stand for it. You got to fight for it. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very tragic scenario. All over the world, innocent people are dying in the name of, because a religion or some religions want to impose their will on you. So they are perpetually unhappy. That's what is important. Thank you very much for watching. Talk to you again.